All right,
Whoops.
hello. Welcome to a brand new Unsourced Radio. We're talking about the Toxic Avenger remake from Macon Blair. It's Toxic Avenger Unrated Edition, man. Unrated. What a promise. But I'm here joined by two esteemed guests. You've heard them before on here, Rolo, Tony, and Doug. So why don't you introduce yourselves and let's just do like our customary kind of first thoughts and just quick, initial, log line thought about this movie, and then let's move on to like, getting more in depth with it. So Tony, why don't you go first?
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be back, Elvis. It's great to be here talking about such a toxic film. But yes, when it comes to myself, you can find me at poor old Rolo Tony on Twitter. And when it comes to my thoughts on this film, it's a very odd one. It's a very peculiar flick, really. One that kind of exists in multiple lanes, and I think that's what makes it so special. Macon Blair doesn't seem like the exact right person to make this movie, coming off the heels of his last film. And given how long this film has taken to make, like it was announced in 2019, then it comes out and like it was finished in 2023, and then we finally are now getting it in 2025. Like this is a real limp to the finish line film, and you can feel it often. It's a very shaggy picture. But what I admired about it was like how over the top and zany the humor was, to contrast with like how dire and empathetic the like central character motivations were. Peter Dinklage brings a lot to the role, and I think that both him and Macon Blair's approach to filmmaking as a whole really brings this material to a place that Troma may not have wanted to go, but it's doing its own thing, and I appreciate its own thing, even if at times it's dangerously close to just failing completely. And a part of that is just what I also admire as well. I said when I first watched the film, it feels like Magnet Releasing would have put this out, like, and it really does feel like something that would have been made in like 2010 or something. And maybe I'm a sucker because I watched a lot of horror films from that era, but I really appreciate it. I really appreciated this movie. Like it was just a breath of fresh air in comparison to what we usually get with superhero films and with spoof movies in general.
Well said. How about you, Doug?
Well, I like I said off mic, I'm like, a virgin to the original Toxic Avenger movies, and then also kind of Trauma. Like I'm aware of culturally like what Trauma represents, and filmmakers that have come from that, but I haven't really seen those movies. So I was just coming at this with completely fresh eyes, and maybe just like a general expectation of like, okay, so this will be kind of nasty or schlocky, but I really enjoyed it. I think the performances, especially Peter Dinklage, help carry the film. Even if the film itself is super inconsistent, I think that's a good pull of this being feeling like a 2010s or in that area Magnet release. But also, I don't remember if this was a Magnet movie. The movie this reminded me the most of was like Hobo with a Shotgun, which is like trying to recreate
100%.
1000%.
I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna bring that
Same
up
here.
as like the best version of the tone this movie should have had.
Yeah,
I had the same
it felt
exact
like
thought too.
it was trying to do the same thing of like, hey, remember these are movies that are at least we as in those filmmakers like grew up watching, of like, hey, can we recapture that vibe now on the with like a low budget indie movie? And I mean the, I'm a sucker for just sincerity. Like it felt like this was coming from a very sincere place from Macon Blair. Even if like, yeah, there's the movie's messy. I mean, a lot of that I'm assuming is kind of like just the general how those movies feel. But this, yeah, just kind of just feels like a celebration of schlock. And I mean, yeah, I'm not, I'm not gonna even sit here and say it's like a perfect movie, because like a lot of critiques of it, I would probably agree with it. But I just, yeah, I was just very charmed by it, and I don't, there's not anything else like this in theaters now, so I just by sheer uniqueness carries a lot of it for me.
Well, I definitely agree with that as well in terms of it coming from a sincere place. Because I'm gonna say it, I really love the Toxic Avenger, I watched it for the first time when I was like 11 on Spike TV. I was like home alone, and I'm like, what's on? And I see something on Spike TV. I don't know if that channel's even around anymore, but it's like the Toxic Avenger marathon or something. And I watched the first one, and it blew my mind. Like, this is amazing. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And so I just got really into that series from there. I have the box set that came out like 2 years ago, the 4K restorations, and I have like 5 different Toxic Avenger things with Lloyd Kaufman's signature on it. I just love the franchise, even if like half of it or more than half of it is just really bad. Like those really bad sequels, and literally the only things of that franchise I think have any quality are the original and the musical. The musical rocks. The musical is fantastic. You've never seen it, and I love that the only like pro shot of it, the actual like really nice movie style recording of it is like from the London um, production, because it's set in New Jersey, so they had to change most of the references to be London but it's still set in New Jersey, and so like it's really funny to me that that's the only like really nice copy of that musical you can find anymore.
Is Toxie from Liverpool?
No, everything's still New Jersey. It's just that like when they mention like physical places, they have to mention London places because that's part of the
Oh.
punchline. You're like in like just no spoilers, but like there's a part where where Toxin needs like a little sensu bean situation, and the original production here in America, it's like he gets it from like it's a glass of water from the East River that gives him like Popeye spinach kind of thing, but obviously they can't do that. So they make it like the River Thames. But like the East River is it's such a funnier joke.
Right.
But it's, that kind of stuff. But like everything else is just so just it's too far for me. Like in terms of like weird, wacky tone, and that's what I feel this it falls on the side of. Whereas like it's not enough of the stuff I feel makes these stories work in it. It just feels like it's coming from a place where like, okay, we know it's wacky, we know it's goofy. Let's just mug it the entire way through. And I just don't like that kind of feeling when I'm watching a film, like that I'm being pandered to, like, nudge, nudge, like, okay, I get it, but like, when are you going to show me something that is provocative in any way? Because it feels like all the stuff, like, yeah, this stuff is really outlandish, it's really out there, but it's not out there for someone who watches like horror movies or like these splatter horror movies. Like it's in fact it's way tamer than any of those. And so I feel like the movie itself and the marketing, but even the movie itself, inside the movie, it's like, oh my god, isn't this crazy? And like, no, it's not. It's not crazy. It's oh, so he's pissing. That's not crazy at all.
Yeah, I feel
I,
like you could get a lot of that same humor in like a Seth Rogen movie, except like slightly cranked into a weirder zone. Like, I mean, I don't know if Seth Rogen's pissed into his own mouth in a movie, but it sounds like something he would do.
Like that's like I feel like it doesn't even go to bare minimum. And one thing I don't like, well, let me mention the two things I do. One, I love I talked with Tony before the mic, is that I love the whole kind of morality around the film. Like it does feel like it is pointed at something, and I love that they're taking that out into the reality world, and the whole charity kind of thing that they're doing with the box office. They're donating the proceeds of that or equivalency of that to charities, or to medical charities for medical debt, things like that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the kind of the heart of the film as well. Like it's very, very sensitive to that kind of stuff. And like I love that kind of energy in it. And I do love that carries forward to Toxic Avenger himself, Toxie, in the movie. I feel like, in the original films, he's kind of like Herman Munster, more or less. He's like this big guy who's like just a normal kind of like really sensible kind of guy. That's why everyone calls him Toxie. Like he's Toxic Avenger. He's a horrible, mutant monster of superhuman size and strength. So he's he's a normal chill guy who just wants to be nice to people. That's why he fights the devil in the second two movies. That's why he fights the devil in the second movie. So that carries forward. I do love that they capture that energy for this character. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, and you really feel for him, and he's just like a sweet, kind of sensible, kind of endearing person, and I love that. Everything else, I just had no foothold on. I was like slunked in my seat, like, God, when is this going to end?
Well, I just wanted to like reach to the point you were just making there with like the original Toxic Avenger and
Mm.
what that character used to represent and what it means in this representation now, right? Because like the original Toxic Avenger, it was kind of like nerdy kid gets hit with sludge and then like he's able to be like everyone's hero, right? And it really relied on just like, a really corrupted version of Superman almost, and when it came to the original character and his like transition into being the Toxic Avenger, it felt like it was coming from like almost like 80s idea of like a nerd and like from like sex comedies, right? And when it comes to how Dinklage is presented in this film, right, like he's a stepfather who's also a widower who has to like take care of this kid who's not even his, and then he's also saddled with medical debt because he has like a fatal diagnosis, right? And it's a with the original 80s Toxic Avenger, that's a movie that's like more so superficial, right? And immediately from the outset, the way that it sets things up with that, it allows for me to sympathize with him a lot more, especially when he's turned into this mutant creature. But something also I wanted to get to with what you're saying, Elvis, about this movie not going all the way, right? Or like pulling its punches. I feel like the
100%.
mortal sin, the mortal sin of this movie, and the thing that like makes me wince the most when I was watching it was how cheap the CGI blood effects were, because I would have loved to have seen a practical version of this. I understand that there's a lot of budgetary constraints on this film, and you can feel it at every moment. And something about that feels very trauma. But
And like,
when you
yeah. I mean, like,
when
I
you
don't. It's just like just to have, even if the effects are crappy, go crappy. It's
Mhm,
people expect it.
but the problem is like when you see like a head get decapitated from like the top half or like essentially scalped, right? And then you see the brain, and then the brain explodes, right? And it's like in concept, you're watching it, you're going, yes, that's funny. If I saw this in a trauma movie with practical effects, I probably would have really appreciated that. But in the context of this film, it feels like it's almost like done in post in a way to make it better, right? And it's over conceptualized, and that's where I feel at arm's length at points with the gore, and also it just looks cheap. But at the same time, I it's the surrounding circumstances, it's how those people die, it's what they say as they're dying, that makes all of those things work a bit better for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying, and I think the good counterpoint is that I just finished watching Shakespeare's Shitstorm, which is their most recent follow-up or attempt to Romeo and Juliet. Like, oh, we're gonna try to do. They've been trying to do a sequel to Romeo and Juliet for years. They finally got one made. Took like 5 years to come out because Showman has no money ever um, for anything. And I watched that, and I know exactly what you're saying. Like, what I was trying to say is that I would rather like a really undone or undercooked practical effect than the CGI that you were talking about. Because in that movie, the big
Totally.
the big final act is like if Floyd Compton was trying to emulate like Society or Tokyo Gore Police. It has that kind of like ambition, and so, but not that kind of budget or not that kind of like people behind the camera that can pull it off quite right. So you have things like where he's mutating his character is mutating people into like horrible body horror monsters like out of like Society or The Substance, and then there's a guy who shows up whose head is slowly mutating into like a giant you know dick. And he's like just squirting everywhere, but he's clearly just like some guy who has like this helmet on, and the helmet keeps jiggling off his shoulders, and it's like so not convincing. But you know what? I'm into it. I'm on board. I'm on board with that, because at least it's going places. And like just as long like if that was CGI, and not, I would make me less impressed by it wanting to do it. So yeah, and again, I feel like it pulls its punches. I want to see something like that. I want to see something that I don't want ever want to see again.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Of like, it would have been one a lot more visceral, the gore, but then also, yeah, I would just respect it more, even if it looked like obviously fake. If it was just like it just like clearly looked like food or sauce, like hot dog sausages as someone's intestines. But if it's like a tangible, tactile thing that looks that just plays better, and it's a comedy anyway, so it's like why not? Why because like to what Tony is saying, like it seemed like they were trying to make the effects look better with the CG. When it's like, no, I'd actually rather have shittier, because it's like you still can't make good CG effects with the budget you have. So like, why not lean into like something with more personality?
Like the chicken. The chicken is a great example of that. Chicken's great. I love the chicken.
The
The
chicken's
chicken's like one of the
great.
best parts.
Yeah, that's a great part. That's a great gag. I love the way it looks. I'm like, why can't the rest of the movie look like that chicken? You know, it's at times like that's just great, great dynamic character there, and it really sells the world a little bit more in ways I
And
wish
you
it was
get
sold.
you get introduced to it through like an animated sequence where you're like, oh, this is just like setting up the world, and then it's revealed that like it's an actual character throughout
No, it's
the
like,
film.
no, it's in the movie.
And it has its own little arc, and I would see a sequel just for the adventures of that chicken. It's great. All right. But you know, I guess let's get more in depth here. So let's see. Things that I like. I did mention I like two things, and those hold true there. And one of my main things that also kept me back is that it feels, as you mentioned, it feels too much like a kind of tribute to trauma, and I feel like that kind of holds it back because it is trying to do its own thing, and I would appreciate that more if like every other second it wasn't trying to remind me of other trauma stuff. Like you don't need to do that. Okay, I know that like trauma itself is like on the verge of like going full moon on it. Like you watch any full moon movies nowadays, they're like channel awesome movies, you know, like they have no narrative other than to like remind you of characters from their other movies. Like oh here's where Radu from the Subspecies movies reappears in Evil Bong 7. Like who,
Yeah,
like
there's
what
like
is this?
11 of those.
Yeah, like what is? Oh, here's Killjoy, but it's a crossover with Evil Bong 8. Like Evil Bong is everywhere. Evil Bong is like the Christ and Infinite Earths of the Evil Bong series. The Christ and Infinite Earths of Full Moon. It's like it's so embarrassing. And whenever like that kind of stuff happened in this movie, like I got that kind of sense. Like I don't. What purpose is to me that you want like like an entire like 30-second gag where you remind people that Nukem High exists? That doesn't add anything. That's not even a funny joke into itself, you know. Other than just like to remind you that this is a movie that Trauma made. Like I hate feeling pandered to. I really do. Like I have some respect for me as the viewer. I'm watching this because I want to watch a Toxic Avenger movie, not just because I want to see like oh don't you understand Trauma? Like no, I already know it. I already know it. Get on with it.
I agree with you, Elvis, because I also had the same thought while watching it, where I thought a lot about Poultrygeist while watching the movie, and I was like, why am I being reminded of Poultrygeist more than I'm being reminded of the Toxic Avenger?
100%.
And like that's a fun movie, sure, right? Certainly poorly aged in many parts, but like I think that like there's a reason why it works for someone like Doug, right? Because Doug hadn't seen the film, like any of those movies, and just accepted it for what it was, right? And because it's trying to be its own thing in a very weird way, at least it has its own identity in that sense. But then I also agree that that it, because it's so safe and so harkeny in other parts, it feels like it's trying to have its cake and eat it too, right? For me, like I find that the whole picture kind of comes together under the whole empathetic streak to it. I feel like the Macon Blair, the filmmaker, brings at least that element, the whole like sympathy and empathy element. Like we were even talking about the chicken before that comes back with the toxic waste. It's revealed at the end of the film that they are going to have kids, right?
Yeah.
And it's like something like the fact that there's always that undercut of like, yes, everything is so ugly and garish and weird, but then there's this undercurrent of sappiness that like isn't present in the Trauma movies, and I think that that's what makes this at least its own thing. But like the problem is that this is a production that's been trying to get made since like 2016. The idea was always for this to be like some kind of like legacy cementing picture in terms of like Trauma, because like you were saying with like Full Moon, right? I see like there's Corman, right, and then followed there's like Canon Films, and then there's like Troma at the same time, and then Full Moon right afterwards, right? Like they're all part of the same thing. And what makes all of those different production studios interesting is their approaches to films, right? And with Troma, it was always like somebody with no money trying to make their idea of what a commercial film is without sacrificing like punk rock sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And this one does sacrifice the punk rock sensibilities for what the commercial elements of the original series and Troma as a whole is. So yeah.
And you know what? Trauma is no stranger to that, because if you see like any of their bigger properties, the ones that actually like crossed over to like more pop cultural, zeitgeisty stuff, the sequels always head into like that. Let's see how far we can get this. Toxic Avenger Part 2 and 3 are definitely trying to tie in or trying to pave the way for the cartoon. It's like Men in Black 2, where like it had some cross pollination with that cartoon, and so that one is a little bit more saccharine, a little bit more safe, a little bit more standard. It doesn't really work as well as, it has some fans, and there's some parts that I like, talking about part 2 and 3 and Men in Black 2, but it's like you can tell there's a lot less ambition, a lot less of that bite in the creative spark in it. And then you have Nukem High. Nukem High 1, I love. I think it's amazing. And then you have 2 and 3, which again are like, oh man, we gotta make this a lot more goofy. People love the goofy stuff. Let's get rid of like the really kind of weird body horror stuff, the really weird kind of profane, degenerative kind of like humor and action gore scenes. So I'm thinking more good because people like the goofy stuff. Let's have like people doing like kind of like MST3K voices at this squirrel puppet, and like they themselves are kind of like guilty of that. And so again, it's hard to like disparage that this much. So that's why I wouldn't say this is the worst. I think it's much better than part 2, because in part 2 nothing happens except him going to Japan and making lots of unfunny Japanese jokes.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds great.
that's where that's there's a very funny story behind that too, because that's where Lloyd Kaufman met executives at Namco, and he got him to finance Sergeant Kabuki Man. So that's why Sergeant Kabuki Man is a big produced by Namco banner at the beginning of that movie. Great stuff. But so I wouldn't call it worse than that, because at least this has a lot more fighting spirit to it. But overall, it just doesn't hit. Were you gonna say something, Doug? I think before.
Oh, I was just thinking about other ways that I would have liked to see it go further or lean in. Like outside of Toxie, we don't like the mutations that everyone else gets from. Like I was expecting Taylor Page's character, like when he puts the ooze in her wound, I was like, oh, something fucked up's gonna come out of her stomach, or she'll just have some kind of weird, maybe somewhat impractical power. It's like I know this is this movie's working on a budget, so I'm not expecting her to get X-Men powers or something, but like it could have just been something. I mean I'm drawing a blank on an example, but like some kind of funny but useless power or something that she gets from that exposure. And then like the fact that was do they set up why Kevin Bacon like has like horns and like they show the sheep as he's transforming.
It's a part 3 reference, because he fights the devil, so it's like, oh, horns. Like that's the thing where
okay.
it feels like it's harkening back to like the shitty stuff I don't like, which is what again I zoned out. Like I don't care at this point.
Yeah, I felt like that it could have been something more unique to him, his transformation. Although I do like, I mean, uh, his are they actually married? Like his number one female crony, like or is she just kind of just like a sycophant who he has around, and
Like a
she's in
Harley
love with
Quinn
him.
kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from it, and because I kind of liked the make. It was not an extreme transformation, but I kind of liked her whole look after she had a little bit, because she was just like kind of scraping the bottom of what was left, so it like wasn't over the top. But then she doesn't really do anything other than like look kind of freaky. So I like wanted. I was like, yeah, shouldn't she have some kind of like ability? Like they it seemed like they didn't have any ideas of like what to do like once that transformation happens, like when Kevin Bacon kills the gangsters when he's turning into like the goat demon man or whatever. He's just ripping off heads like Toxic Avenger did. So I was like, couldn't he have his own thing where I don't know, maybe he just has like a really long tongue that goes through someone's head or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but
I want to
something like
defend him. I want to defend Kevin Bacon in this film, or at least
Okay.
his presentation, because
his
I
actions?
actually no, fuck medical induced debt. That's something that this podcast can get behind. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Yeah.
Free Luigi
But,
Mangione. Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it did nothing. Oh, he didn't do anything. He's only a suspected murderer. We don't know for sure if he did.
That wasn't him.
You know?
Different eyebrows, different nose.
Yeah, those
We don't
pictures
know.
look so. That looks like a different guy. I mean, that's its own.
He's
but,
no, I know that justice prevail, and they'll find the real killer someday.
Yes, exactly. they need to open the investigation. They need to let him go.
If OJ were alive, he'd get on the case. Okay.
yeah, that's what I immediately went to. I was like, just like OJ was like, I really hope I can find the guy. I hope that he's still out there somewhere, a real killer.
Don't go to New York, yeah. The G-Men's are like, I don't want to ever go to New York again. I could be standing next to him.
I want him to make like posts on the internet that are like, if I did it, and just like talk about the ways he did do it. Oh, well, if he did,
Hypothetically.
All the profits go to the Goldman family again for some reason.
Like, are they related to this? I didn't know that.
To bring it back to Kevin Bacon, right? Like, I when I was watching this movie, I was immediately reminded of his performance in Super as the villain there, right? Like he's doing the same kind of like asshole you can't help but then also is just plainly evil, and he wears that on his sleeve. But what I liked about his transformation when he did become the toxic version of himself was that he looked like Beauty and the Beast, like the Beast, like from like the silent film era, right?
Sure.
And like from an aesthetic level, I like that. But then I also like the fact that he was in pain, like the fact that like
I like that.
He reaches like his best peak part of himself, and he is constantly sitting and like going like, oh, it hurts. The fact that this guy who's obsessed with like the peak version of himself in like that same like that when he's not that beast version, he reminds me a lot of that father billionaire who has his son as like a blood boy, and I just really like that he looked like him.
that seemed to be the idea, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But even with him being in pain, like they could have, because you see it after the transformation, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we need to fix this because he's in so much pain." But then when the final battle's happening, he seems kind of fine. I wish he was like throwing up blood or something, or something like during the battle, like or shitting himself, like something crazy where it's like, whoa, he's like getting worse even if he has the strength to like still fight Toxie.
It needed to feel a bit more like the ending of Glass, where everything was like kind of awkward and weird, because like that's when this movie works the best. Like I think about like the scene in the burger joint, right? Like that's probably the best scene in the movie when it really like coalesces with all of the messy nature that it is, and it works. To end off my point, though, I wanted to also reference something that you were just talking about, Doug, with Taylor Page's character, right? I feel like she is definitely underserved in this film. Like 100%. she is bringing so much to her role, and she is given nothing but like, you are the plot machine,
or
she's the girl, she has the
wink at the jokes, or wink at the jokes lines, like okay, one, why does Toxie say, I need to get my dick out? And then why does she say, oh, explain the punchline? Like, it's such, I hate that joke. And the entire scene was like, and the guy behind we're like laughing, like, oh, like, God, man, kill me. Or fans have no taste.
the only joke that works, because the thing is, Taylor Page makes a lot of the material work despite the material that she's given. But there's the joke when she is told to distract the henchman, and she like does the classic Looney Tunes like,
yeah, that's so good. That is so good. I love that. I had 5 good laughs. That was one of them. I think I can remember the other 4, but that's one of the 5.
Just shooting themselves gave me kind of like Idiocracy vibes of how like that they're constantly firing guns in the air in that movie, or like how the like machines are destroying each other accidentally because
Yes.
just like the
Mhm.
turrets just like start shooting at each other. That and just in general, I love like just the casual discharging of firearms, usually by cops, like
Mhm.
or when he comes to Kevin Bacon at that like luncheon when the mayor's awarding him, the cop
Like-
is like, I feel threatened, and pulls out his gun.
that was also again too. So let me get the third one. I want to talk about the third one because it's all on these lines. I loved, overall I didn't like any of the jokes surrounding the fast food restaurant sequence. All those jokes I just thought fell flat like hell. But if the one joke I did like was when the terrorist guy walks out and he's like completely dying and the cop just shoots him like 6 more times.
Yeah,
That was
Like,
amazing.
that was great. That got me so good. Everything else for that sequence, and I didn't like it at all. but I didn't like it for one reason. I want to say this. I hope this is a safe space. I don't want to hear any SAW-ness about it. But again, it's why I feel like it pulled its punches, and why I'm okay if it wants to be a little bit like silly or a little bit more family friendly overall. And so in the original version of the scene, there's there's a lot less goriness, but it's a lot more gruesome in terms of like what it's intimating toward, and a lot more provocative, and a lot of the context of it. And what I didn't like about that scene is that, well, nothing ever really happens other than Toxic killing some guys, but also it like references something from the original scene. It's a direct lift of the scene from the original, but like it kind of cuts itself off. Like, why reference it if you're gonna be like, oh, we're not giving it a touch? It like that just feels so antithetical to the spirit of these things. So again, I love the musical. The musical is like rated G. Musical is fantastic. It's so I'm not against like, oh, having a little softer movie, but
this one
again,
could have been a
don't
musical.
don't pander to me. Don't pander to me like, oh, get it, but and then not do it, because you're just reminding me of a movie that does do it, and it just kind of makes it feel like that one's more courageous, or brave or bold, and this is not, by comparison. By you actually directly putting that comparison against yourself here.
Well, like I want to push back just slightly on the fact that this is a toothless scene, right? Or like that it's not, like it's pulling its punches a bit, because I feel like what it's doing with the commentary is a bit like is interesting, at least from like a modern context, right? Because like you've got the guys,
Proud Boys, yeah.
They're Proud Boys, obviously, right? There's that element, right? We've already talked about the cop shooting the guy coming out like a million times. That's a commentary on police brutality. And then also there's the whole when they're in the restaurant, the henchman is wearing a helmet and he's making fun of the kid for wearing a helmet. And then there's another henchman that's like trying to trigger a black woman by showing the OK symbol, but she's blind. And like,
Yeah.
like a lot of that humor actually landed for me. Like I felt like it was one of those things where that would have been in like the Trauma universe, right?
I mean,
Where
Shitstorm is all about triggering and political distancing, and I feel like I don't know. Again, it's like, if you're not going to go as far as that, like there's a part in Shitstorm where where basically Lord Copland's character, who's Prospero in this adaptation of Tempest, grafts DNA and body parts from all races to himself, and everyone's like, well, he's got us now. We can't cancel him because he stitched on body parts from all races to himself. Like he's bested us, from canceling. And so I feel like that's, again, I want to see something really, really that goes too far. And I feel like, again, that's the part with the blind woman. Like that's a good joke, like, oh, are you triggered yet? That's a great joke. I actually laughed at that one. Let's put that number 4. I actually laughed at that one. But then it's like, then it goes further. It actually, that scene, that little exchange goes further, and it brings up something from the original version of the scene. And like, why bring that up? You're just reminding me of the original at this point. You're putting that direct comparison, and you cut yourself off. And so like, and you're just you're kind of putting yourself in the lane of directly calling yourself a less sort of profane version, Again, like I wouldn't, just be nice. Just be simple and goofy and silly and sweet, if that's where you want to do it. Don't remind me of like, hey, there's that part where they rip the clothes off the blind chick. Why even bring it up? You're bringing it up. I didn't want to bring it up. The movie brought it up.
Yeah, I mean that's
It's
fair. I just
go ahead.
I didn't have any frame of like to me the references that things that I knew were references were mainly just when it's like oh Tromaville. I know what Troma is. But like in terms of like the specific callbacks that those scenes are doing, like yeah, I was just like
Or at the
taking it
end,
as its own thing.
or at the end of the movie, the end credits song is the song playing during one of my favorite parts of the movie, of the original movie. And like, okay, so you're playing the song from that scene, but nothing in the movie is even close to how outrageous that scene is. Which is, I'm gonna try to explain it in a light here, where one of the main villains of that movie, yeah, he and his friend and their girlfriends are like thrill-seeking like hot rodders who get their kicks, or they're fetishizing like hitting people with their car, you know, and
Oh,
they
it's
like
like Crash.
it's like Crash, exactly. And there's like this extended scene where like there's gunning down this like in their car, running him. They're like just tracing right after him. It's like 12-year-old kid, and it just destroy his body with their wheels, man. It's crazy. And like, okay, well, there's a song playing on it. It's a song like this, kind of like this sweet love kind of ballad song, sweet pop song. Oh, they're destroying his kids, like his kids just getting completely destroyed under their wheels, And like, okay, but that's like the ending song of this one. So again, why? Again, these are why I don't like those kinds of references, because like nothing in that was like even close to like that kind of thing. In fact, the one chance they had, they kind of like, oh, they walked it back. So again, be what you want to be, but don't also try to reference back. I'm gonna remember those references and be like, well, you just remind me of something that I'd rather be watching.
To bring up something that's original in this film that I think that is done really well, and something that actually adds to its identity in my eyes, right? It sounds different. Actually, I should just say it. The score and the music just across the board in this movie goes a long way in terms of like just giving this its own kind of edge, because you've got like Macon Blair's brothers, I believe, like Will Blair and somebody else. I'm forgetting their names. But when it comes to like, they've done all the Jeremy Saulnier films, they're composers for those movies. And this kind of feels like the best work they've done so far in my eyes. Like you get the remix of the Toxic Avenger theme, which is the same song from that Fantasia sequence of like the Bald Mountain, right?
Yeah.
And it's done with electric
Strabog.
guitars.
Yeah.
It's such a great, like, I love the rendition of that in this film. And then there's also like the soft rock that plays when like Dinklage wakes up, and it plays again before the credits come. Like, it's like the way this movie sounds, and also like the henchmen having that like horrorcore band. It sounds exactly
Killer
like
Nuts.
what that band, that's what that band would sound like, and like it nails all of those things. And I think that the identity in that realm works really well and goes a long way.
I love the Killer Nuts. That's like the most Troma idea this movie has, because Troma loves like, oh, let's just get some random band we can get. And I feel like that, if you told me the Killer Nuts actually existed as a real band, I believe you.
I would buy it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, they just got them. They just
it.
found them. They just found them. Like, like, hey, we need, like, you guys are an upcoming band. Can you be in this movie for a couple of peanuts and exposure? And Troma has so many bands in their movies that just say, yeah, okay, why not? Like, just Hermosa has a band and it has like 2 musical sequences for no reason. They just never come up again. There's just a band that's in the movie, like, just stops to give them like a musical number. So it's good. I like the Killer Nuts overall. I just like, why didn't you just call the guy in the clown makeup bozo? Though, if they really wanted to like hammer fist down that reference down the audience's throat, just have the guy in the clown called Bozo. Because like every time it's like, no one calls me Bozo. Like, we get it. The character in the original was also called Bozo. Okay, I get it.
I didn't understand. But yeah, what that was a reference to. I was like, did he used to be a clown? What's that?
Yeah, that's so egregious to me, because you have a guy in the movie who's already dressed like a clown. If you want him, and he was directly involved with getting this guy, with getting Toxie in the toxic waste. Like the original movie, there's a guy named Bozo who also was directly involved in getting that guy into the toxic waste. So why not just call the guy in the clown makeup Bozo?
Yeah, I didn't get any of that. I just was like, oh, that's just a weird thing for him to take offense to.
Yeah, it felt
It's
so
almost like calling
pandering.
Marty McFly chicken, where he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what'd you call?" He was like, "Why? Yeah, why is he so offended that this guy called him bozo?" But now that that's a reference, I understand.
Yeah. Again, I hate that. Like, again, stop reminding me of things. Just do your own thing. Stop reminding me of things.
But the rest of the henchmen are so good, though. You get
I,
like that
I,
woman like at the turntable with the subtitles. You get like
I-
the chicken mask guy. The guy who does front flips.
right.
Like
So
all
I'm
of
gonna
that works.
let me rank them. Okay, I'm gonna do clown guy. All right, then I'm gonna do unexpected baby because I was like, I think that was laugh number 5. Okay, I think that was laugh number 5 when he see their head like that's just gross. And then of course, God, why do they have? And they really do give Taylor Page like nothing to work with because she's in that scene. She's like, explain the punchline again. That's the line. That's the only line they give her. Is explain the punchline. Um, oh my God, really underserviced. And then, yeah, I'm gonna give it to the parkour guy because that was still funny after a
Good
couple of
bit,
times.
yeah.
That was a good bit. I gotta say, subtitle girl. I only laughed the first time. The second time felt like gratuitous to me. Like I get it, we got it. So that's an Austin Powers joke, and they only use that joke like once in Austin Powers. So, I think it's a joke that can only work once. Yeah, second time, like, nah.
She just felt in line with like. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Doug.
No, I was just looking up at the credits of like some of these characters' names because they don't actually say everyone's individual name. I think her name is DJ Cool Cthulhu.
That's great. That's great.
I almost
That's
wish
great.
that I knew that.
Yeah, exactly. How imagine Elijah Wood tweet, ironically. How would we know? When he talks about Star Wars when he responded to that Star Wars tweet.
Skywalker.
Yeah, like how would we know? So I love the Killer Nuts. I wish they were actually the only villains of the movie.
Well,
Um,
I was going to say I loved Elijah Wood in this, but I know I can get the impression, Elvis, that you did not enjoy what he was doing.
I didn't. Not that I didn't enjoy what he was doing. It's just that I think in a movie that was more more to my sensibility, he would feel less like a Tim Burton character. Like he would feel grosser. It feels like Elijah Wood cosplaying like someone from Corpse Bride, rather than anything that feels tangible in any kind of way. He would feel. I think he would. Again, I think off mic I said that he was miscast. I'm gonna redact that a bit. I don't think he was miscast. Elijah Wood is a very versatile actor. I just feel like they're like, you know what? Give us, stop motion villain. Someone that would appear in The Nightmare Before Christmas. And like that doesn't really fit that tone. He does a voice that doesn't quite work. I feel like if you got someone who was naturally more grimy or more slimier, that would work. Like like what's Scammy doing, man? What's he doing? What's Balaban doing? Get Balaban in here.
Balaban would have killed that.
And it's because I feel like he's like a kid wearing a costume. I felt like that works for the tone, but again, my issue is if the tone overall was more consistent. That's my issue. The tone thing, really, more than not. It wants to be silly. It wants to be like goofy and sweet, and corn-fed. Like I'm okay with that. But then, like I think Elijah Wood fits perfectly in line with that.
See, the reason I think he's well cast is because he can play a freak really well. I think about his performance in Sin City, but then also you buy the heart of the character where he's like, well, no, I'm not going to let a kid die. So like, I was initially annoyed that they walked back the son dying, but I'm like, oh, well, it does make sense that he would save. Like, I buy that even with the very little characterization we have. Like, Elijah Wood just imbues the character with that kind of heart. And just him just being pathetic, because like even at the end he did save his son, but it's not like celebratory for him personally. Like
he's still going to jail.
Yeah, he's just like in a hospital room by himself, and
an art guard,
and the cop tells him to shut up.
That's great. That's good. I love that. He's still going to jail. Everyone's like saying, "Yes, Stocksy," and he's going to jail. So good. Again, that's good. That's good. But yeah, I just wish to like every time it's on screen, I'm like, oh man, I'm just reminded of the bad sequels. Like this guy would be perfect for Apocalypse Inc. or something, man.
Like the thing is, Elvis, is I don't disagree with anything that you're saying of this character being like, maybe like like he's just like doing a silly voice, or he's just got a look to him, right? Because like that's also kind of the thing that I like about him.
I know, again.
He reminds me of like a Boba Fett from like Star Wars, right? Where it's like he isn't given a lot to do. He's just kind of there, right? But for whatever reason, they just put a lot of attention to detail and like care into like how he looks and his mannerisms. And Elijah Wood specifically being that, right? Because like think about the arc of his career, right? The arc of Elijah Wood's career is child star, like in like almost prestige films and like massive studio blockbusters. Then he's in Lord of the Rings, and he's like the protagonist of that film. And since then, he has just gone in the complete opposite direction, where he's like in service of the material at all times. And this role almost feels like the culmination of all of that, in terms of just like, you know, you could have gotten, you know, the Balaban, you could have gotten the Buscemi, you could have gotten like 10th on the cast list, random character actor on a television show, and it would have been fine, right? But the fact that it's Elijah Wood, the fact that there's this production design behind it, the fact that he's doing that voice and it works for me, you know, like the fact that he's doing like this, like,
and the fact that he's a
like
band manager.
Right. That's great. I love that. I love that. Like, you know, he manages the band. It's so good.
The whole thing is that he is a pathetic person trying to be menacing, right? He has got this platform, uneven shoe. He's got the cane. He's dressed in black. He's got this faked affect deep voice, right? And then he's got the horrendous hairline to go with it, right? And you were right to call out Tim Burton, right? He feels a lot like the Penguin in Batman Returns, but he's not as fleshed out as that, right? So like
Danny DeVito would have worked in this as well.
Totally. But again, like the fact that it's Elijah Wood is, and like he is totally in service of doing that, right? And he works, like that's why it resonates so well with me, you know?
I totally agree. In fact, I know I want to just change I want to change my entire position. Not my entire position. Not that I think Elijah Wood definitely completely works. Kevin Bacon and the other chick don't work. I feel like they should all be a unit. I know the gag is that they're not, you know, right? Like you have these kind of yuppie, pretentious, vain, executives, and then it's just like some random evil vizier looking guy in the shadows. That's his brother for some reason. I know that's the gag. I just feel like it's not a good enough gag. I would rather just have Kevin Bacon and the other chick look more interesting and beyond that level.
Or have it be more than a gag, where we like have some kind of, even just like a quick flashback of like showing them as children and Kevin Bacon's doing something horrible to Elijah, or something to just like really hammer home like of that dynamic. And you could even play that as some gag of like, well, this is like comically cruel what he did to him as a child or something. Like maybe he's the reason that he walks with a cane or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is that like referencing something that Elvis was saying and Doug, you were saying earlier, about the like kind of like secretary character / lover to Kevin Bacon, right? Where it's like she's given just enough to like have her be a funny joke. And when she does go beast mode, she comes into her own almost as a character where she feels more complete. She's like unfortunately given more than Taylor Page in that sense, right? But at the same time, it's all in service of a joke, right? And it feels very similar to like that like the character in the James Gunn Superman movie, the one that Jimmy Olsen is constantly talking about, the one that Mutant Toes.
Sure.
She feels like Mutant Toes in this movie,
Eve
right?
Teschmacher, we use her real name. We're not sexist like Jimmy and James Gunn.
You're right. I'm sorry. And you know what? I agree with you that she is a sexist character in that film. And I would say that this film is also guilty of that as well. But also, just to end off this point, this movie feels very similar to James Gunn's Superman, but I like it more than James Gunn's Superman.
I would agree with that.
I'll agree with that. We're all in agreement. Okay, good.
Yes, but I didn't want to hug the mic after everyone agreed, because it was like one of those things. But, I guess to round out that point, it's like to also agree with something that you were saying before, Elvis. Like that's something that I feel in James Gunn's Superman, right? Where James Gunn's Superman lacks the weirdness of even like the Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy, right? the reason I don't appreciate that film as much is because it
No dance
lacks
sequence.
this. There's no dance sequence. Exactly that, Doug. You're right. Like he's had dance sequences in like most of his films up to that point, and it just didn't have one. And there is a lacking there, right? And with Toxic Avenger, it does feel more whole, even if some of the sums don't feel as complete. You know, like it feels like you're looking at almost like an abstract painting. You know, where it's like you're looking at things that you're like, that's kind of a tree, right? But when you step back, you're like, oh, I can see entirely what it's going for, and I really appreciate it in that sense.
You know what? It got made. You know, and as Kaufman loves to say, make your own movie. You know, so again, it's hard to begrudge anything with this. I again, that's why I want to sound like a hypocrite, because I think that this movie was a movie that was made and released, and you know, with its own, not entirely on its own terms, but it made its way there, and that's the ethos of these. You know, you go out there, you know, you make something that you want to be remembered in any kind of way, and I think that does it does meet that criteria. You know, so one thing I also liked, I did like Jacob Tremblay a lot. I wish he was in more of the movie. It does feel like he kind of disappears.
He's
too much.
kind of just like a plot object. Like initially, like yes, it's to like ground Winston and give him that pathos, because besides the tumor, it's like this is like his emotional tether. And you know, there's always in any kind of monster thing after a transformation, whether it's like a lost love or a family, where it's like, oh well, they could never accept me for that. Like so he brings that quality. But yeah, he does kind of disappear. I mean, the best use of him is like when he's like dancing during the credits, and I'm like, oh, well, why? Where was this? Like,
I did love the original. I did love the original talent show scene, though. That was great. He walks off the wrong way at first, and then it's just like, oh my god, this guy's a dumbass.
It felt awkward in a very real way. Also, I loved the ADR in this movie, because there were so many, like during that initial audition where someone was like, "You suck!" Like, and then they kept like it sounded like maybe the same voice again just said "suck."
I want to talk about that specifically, because I just listened to Macon Blair on Bloody Disgusting. Apparently, the ADR for this film, it was just them in the post-production process, just like thinking of the funniest lines they could come up with in the moment. So like a lot of those things weren't even written beforehand. It was just them shooting the shit in the editing.
You know, I love the ADR too. I because again, that is pure trauma. Is like you watch any of these movies, even there's so much ADR stuff. Like that's clearly not what was being said. They'll redub everything. They'll overdub anything. They'll add like cast montage. It'll be the same two guys, or maybe like a woman voice, or maybe a guy pretending to be a woman, and it'll be clearly Lloyd in the '80s doing a falsetto voice. And it'll be magic, and I love that kind of stuff. And so I love the Trauma Fest sequence in the background where Toxie appears, and someone's in the background is like, "Oh my, that's the criminal," and like that's so good. that's so good. I love that stuff. I love that kind of you know, wandering mob kind of thing with these kinds of movies. So I think that was one of the times where they really did reach that same kind of impact that those films had. Like I actually met it. Yeah.
I wish we could have gotten more from the town itself, because like I love the character of it. Almost felt like a more caustic Simpsons of like how Springfield is easily worked up into a frenzy. Like when they first see Toxie and he rips that yuppie's arm off, and they're like, "Oh, it's a mob. We're doing a mob." They just chase him down. I almost wanted them to get mobilized of like after he crashes the concert, of like maybe they all storm Kevin Bacon's compound with like, they're like, yeah, like something about the people rising up or being galvanized by
then
that.
You'll love the original then.
Oh, it has some kind of.
You
like
gotta watch it.
You'll love it.
Oh yeah, I'm watching it. Yeah,
you'll love the way that ends. Then okay, that's my favorite part. I was say like that. I really hope, because when they do kind of redo scenes. They'll have characters like from those scenes, and those characters are like kind of like what you say, right? But they just never come back. Like in like the employee guy, like, oh, that guy's a hero. He saved my life. Okay, I can't wait for that guy to come back. Never comes back.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's sloppy. It's shaggy in those ways, and that's where the film fumbles the most. I wanted to get a bit back to Jacob Tremblay, and then I wanted to get into like a bigger point that we haven't touched on yet because I feel like it's
Fantastic.
important. But like Tremblay, right? I just wanted to say I didn't think that he brought like his character isn't given much to do. He doesn't really bring a whole lot to the part because he isn't given much to do, right? At the same time, I like Jacob Tremblay is a fantastic actor and he has been for a while now. Like it's hard to say that with a kid actor, sometimes because it's like A, like the profession itself is really messed up, but then B, like how much of that is them versus how much is that them like, being coached to do that, right? And with him taking a role like this and also seeing the roles he's been taking recently, Jacob Tremblay seems like somebody who really cares about the craft and has continued to bring that with his roles and going forward. I think that him choosing a movie like Toxic Avenger, it's good to see him here. And it speaks to like he has that kind of Elijah Wood dog in him almost, And I would love to see more of that in his upcoming films.
100%.
To bring it to something that we haven't talked about yet, and I think that we got to, right? And it's actually probably, like I've said, a few things are like some of my favorites. I think this is the magic trick of this movie is Peter Dinklage's performance, how great he is in it, and also the work of the stunt double who plays him in the suit, whose name I'm forgetting.
I'll look it up. This is a trooper.
Gear.
Yeah, something like that. She's
Yeah.
Spanish. So what a trooper, man. What a trooper.
She plays like a lot of monsters, I think. She does like a lot of voice
Lucia
acting.
Guerrero, yeah.
I feel like there was like some foreign horror movie I saw where she was like a I feel like she's done a lot of stuff like that.
What a trooper.
The thing is, though, is like she is such a fantastic actress. When I first watched the film, I didn't know that it was a body double. I didn't know that Peter Dinklage had ADR the entire performance. And when I was watching it, I just believed that was Peter Dinklage in there.
Same.
And
I didn't know until I looked it up.
Right? Like the vocal performance is so strong, and her mannerisms actually feel like she studied Peter Dinklage as a performer. And by the way, like Peter Dinklage, he's had a long career, and like very recently with not very recently, but like semi recently, like it feels like the broader public has really brought on to Dinklage and his talents through Game of Thrones. And I like it felt really nice to see him get like this kind of attention, this kind of project where his talents are fully on display. And now we know in retrospect that his talents also include like matching the vocal performance with the physical performance as well. I just wanted to rant about that, I guess, because I just really admired what Dinklage did.
No, I mean that's really great. And I really appreciate that more than anything because that's what the Toxic Avenger is built on. The Toxic Avenger has never been played by the same person that voices him ever in the entirety of the series. I don't know why. Maybe the guys in the suits just have really bad voices, but the whole thing too with the original sequels about this as well, because they had like the guy playing the Toxic Avenger and the guy doing the voice, and then when they did the sequel, the guy there was some bad blood. I forget who it was. It was either the guy doing the voice or the guy actually in the costume. It was like didn't want to do it or wanted more money, and obviously Lloyd wasn't going to do that, so they got someone else to do the voice, and it just does not work. You really do need to like have these things like really sort of synced up, really sort of like feel like they work in the film. And I think that Louisa and Dinklage, it is a magic. They really do bring his character to life. And the last scene, last official scene where Dinklage is like, Dinklage, Louisa, she's so good. She's so good in the stands, in the auditorium, and just like crying, a little tearing up and as proud Toxie is. So it's amazing. I love it. That's why I love Toxie. Toxie is so good. It's like Superman 2025. Superman's good. The movie, whatever, that's good. It's so good to have another good Toxie. When they made a sequel that actually like went places, I'd watch it in a second.
Yeah, I would love to see a sequel to this. I don't know how likely that is. I mean, because there's the joke in the credits of like how many billions it needs to make to be another one, and then they like show all these fake like sequel pitches of like Toxie versus Dracula. I forgot what all the ones were, but it was like a bunch of fake titles rapid fire. Which
You know what?
I would watch a real Toxie versus Dracula. Actually, they should just do that.
You know what? Just have Kaufman and Hers produce the next one on like a $5,000 budget. Let's just do it. Just do it. Go full out.
And bring Taylor Page back and give her something to do. You got to redeem that.
Make her a new.
She's owed that, you know.
Make her a new Toxic Avenger, the Toxic Avengeress. Okay.
She just is mutated and has powers from the beginning. We don't even need to explain it. Be like, oh, it was like a delayed reaction to getting the ooze in her. Of like now she's all fucked up.
You were right to call earlier, Doug, that like when Toxie uses the blood, his blood to like save her, right? It just doesn't make any sense just in the grander scale, right? She should have grown like a third arm or something, right?
She's just fine. Like she's not even doesn't seem sick or anything. I was like, oh, okay. Because everyone else who like takes the ooze, even if you just get little drops, like the assistant, you know, like something happens.
Why is his pee acid and his blood healing?
Can he never piss again?
He just has to be really careful.
Never gonna piss again.
These are questions that we should be asking. These are the questions that this movie asks. So, really hard hitting ones. It's really a movie for our times, really. Anyway,
you joke, but I like the political perspective.
I know. I like it too. I like it too. Again, I have nothing against the morals of this movie. I just wish it had more of a solid identity. Like it can be as messy as it wants. I just want it to like have. I wish at some point someone was like, "We gotta make it this," you know. And it feels like there was like a tug and pull because I'm not gonna say again. Macon is clearly a fan. He wouldn't go through all those lengths to remind us he's a fan if he wasn't. I just feel like either he needed to like curb that or really hammer it in, and maybe push back with Legendary or whatever might have curbed that. But it is, it's being torn apart a bit, and I don't like that. I want to see something that is like. Let's make some art. That's also one of the taglines for Troma. Like you go out there, you go unflinching into the dark here. And this, I feel like at the writing or production stage, pre-production stage, there was lots of flinching.
Something to push back a little bit, right? So like I don't want this to become like no. I don't want to say this, Elvis, and then totally because I can tell like you're coming about from this, but at the same time,
go ahead.
I feel like Toxic Avenger, this movie feels almost more successful than most of the Troma films.
100%. Again,
yeah,
I don't want to be hypocritical here. I'm not any delusion about most of those films. Okay,
totally. And you've been totally fair with that, and I hope that I'm not because obviously, but when it comes to what this movie accomplishes versus like what the Troma films attempt to accomplish and fail to do, that's where a lot of my goodwill for this does come, where it's like a lot of those Troma films work really well because they're just like bottom of the barrel, like, oh my god, I can't believe that I'm seeing that, and like we were talking off mic before about Splatterpunk, right? And you had also brought up how this film is like an inverse of what the Terrifier film is, a series is, and I totally agree. Because with Terrifier, it's using that Splatterpunk sensibility to just show you complete garish, gross guts and violence, right? And nothing much else, and it's very like purposefully vacant, right? And a lot of people like those movies for a reason, and I don't think they're very good, but some of them are better than others.
I would push back that the from 2 and 3 Terrifier that it's not just gut. Like they start adding weird lore. Like it's like
they do.
But what is that weird lore in service to? Really,
exactly.
It's an excuse. Now we're getting up on Doug.
No, I don't know. I just started when you start adding demon lore and shit. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
But that's where I also agree with you, Doug. Right, where it's like I feel like a lot of people hyped up 2, right? And I didn't really like 2 because it is so long. It's like 2.5 hours, and it's like that. So a slasher like that really cannot handle that sustained. Like when you are just that focused on that kind of movie and you're going for that length, it does
A low
start
budget
to feel
horror
it,
movie
you know?
really needs to have a good reason to be more than 90. And I'm not usually like runtime police. I'm like, oh, movie
Yeah.
better, but uh, low budget horror needs to kind of stick to a tight 90 in my eyes.
And it's not, I'm agreeing with you, but then I'm also disagreeing in the sense where it's like, you can make it longer, but it needs to have a point, right? And I feel like
Yes.
the point of Terrifier 2 was the gore, and that's fine, but I feel like that itself is not substantive enough to be the length that it is. That's why I like 3 more, because it does pack it with more things. It does keep it more variantly interesting. To get back to the original point about Toxic Avenger being on the opposite end of that spectrum, where it has like a splatterpunk sensibility rather than a trauma sensibility, in the sense where it's using ultra violence, humor that's kind of in poor taste, all that stuff. Kind of lacking, like even the splatterpunk sometimes was a lot more sexually provocative, right? And I feel like on both ends of the spectrum, both Terrifier and Toxic Avenger ignore that. But with Toxic Avenger, it feels so much more sanitized, but it's in service of that empathetic streak. And with Terrifier, it's in service of the slasher streak. So it's almost like they're reaching for those two opposite ends of the spectrum. And I just wanted to point to that because Elvis made a great point off mic, and I wanted to bring it on here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, again, I would prefer, if anything, if I had to choose between either or, I would choose this any day of the week. And again, like as I mentioned before, my ranking, this is like, I think this is way better than part 2. I think this is way better than part 2. And part 2 itself, I don't like in the least, is way better than like, I would say a dozen trauma films. And, so, again, a lot of things here, they're baked in, like, they too in on the joke, too over the top the performances in a way that is winking or a way that is exaggerated, too focused on past information, past glories that you're trying to recapture the magic and you're trying to let the audience know you're part of the magic. Sloppy editing, sloppy story choices. These are all pick any random movie out of the hat, and all of those will be an issue with it. So again, like I do think that I'm still gonna get this on Blu-ray. I pre-ordered already. I mean, I had the box right at I had the box set with part 2 and 3 already, and I feel like it'd be hypocritical even more to not just get it. Like, oh man, I didn't like this one, I shouldn't get it. But I have like 2 movies already that I don't like that much, and so why not? It would feel dishonest on my part to not just buy it. One, because it's better than one of those two, and 2, because you know what, I do like some stuff in it. I do think that over time I will be more warm and receptive to it. I would put this above Return to Nukem High, because Return to Nukem High is like 2 movies, like 4.5 hours worth of content, and half of it is singing like "My Darling Dear" or "Yakety Yak," in like falsetto voices. And you know what? I'd take this over that too. So, and I know I enjoy it. I enjoy that it has its heart on its sleeve. I do love that Macon Blair is definitely trying to do something at least a little more personal. I love that he did the little like kind of passing the torch thing with Lloyd at the end. And again, I keep thinking of Toxie in the stands crying a little bit, about pride and of love. Like, that's great. That's great. That's more hopeful than anything I felt from Superman. Like, that's things will persevere. That's love. That's like the love of a parent. He's not even like foster stepfather thing. That means more to me than Pa Kent going, things can be good again. Also, how do you work a remote control? That feels more to me than that. Fuck, sir, man. I'm sorry. It sucks so much in terms of everything regarding tertiary characters. This is great. You know what? Even Taylor Page, which we all agree was underserviced. I love her moxie. She's got moxie. She has charisma. Let's put her in.
She's a great vibe, great actress. Like, I loved her in Zola, and there was something else that she was. She plays Eddie Murphy's daughter in the Beverly Hills Cop Legacy sequel. So
kind of a good movie.
Yeah, low key.
I need to watch
one of the better Beverly Hills Cop. It's just a shame it was a Netflix movie.
Because you know what, they had no faith in it because of racism. You know it. We all know it.
Yeah, I mean it's Eddie
It-
Murphy, and people love that franchise. That would have made money.
if you put that out in theaters, it would have made easily more than Toxic Avenger. It would have made more it would have made an easy 40 million opening weekend. And I'm not saying that to over exaggerate. Like I genuinely believe it. That movie, if you just took it and put it in theaters, it would have made that money.
Yeah, absolutely.
She plays Peter Dinklage's niece in that Amazon Prime crime comedy he did.
Oh, I haven't seen that. It's from the
Oh, it's written by Macon Blair too.
I was gonna say, yes.
Oh, that what you're talking about? That was better than his last movie, or worse than his last movie? I'm not sure what you said about it.
No, didn't he have
Well-
a Netflix movie he did? Like, I don't feel safe in this world anymore.
Yeah, I
or
don't
something?
feel so safe in this home or whatever. It's a long title, but starring Elijah Wood and Melanie Lewinsky. Like, it's a very great movie, but it's it's a subject of Netflix movies in the sense that it's held back by its budget.
Mhm.
But the script is really good. Something I wanted to get to with what we were talking about before, in terms. I'm losing the point. You guys go ahead.
So no, I was saying is that I think I think the charm goes a long way, and I'm harping on it. I've been ragging on it, but I love the way it looks. I love I love the performance of Toxie. I love that he's still around. I love the message. I love the sincerity. I love the sweetness. I love all of that. And I walked away from that movie just really kind of feel like, ugh. But you know what? Talking about it with you guys, hearing your thoughts, and it just makes me happy that it's still around. That it's still around. That people seem to really vibe with it, even if I don't. And you know what? It's good that the movie series does not end anymore on on a movie where James Gunn plays a guy with cerebral palsy who tries to get a stripper to give him a BJ. And, but that's the third best one in my opinion. That's a great
I
one.
didn't know he was playing Stephen Hawking.
He was playing Stephen Hawking. Yeah, he is playing Stephen Hawking. He is playing Stephen Hawking. And then he gets hit by a car and is killed. So it's a great film. I love it.
Sounds better
wins.
than The Theory of Everything. I mean,
and he's doing the voice too.
oh,
And so
that's very tasteful.
is there? I know I have the 4. It's on 4K now forever.
That's how it's meant to be seen. Highest resolution.
Not a
what do
grain
we
in
think of
sight.
David Yao, the wise hobo in the woods?
Oh, he's amazing. I was
him.
gonna talk more about the heart of the film. That was something that I was.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's go into go ahead.
Yeah, because like the movie does so much in terms of those little moments, right? Like we've talked a bit about Dinklage already, but like you can really feel how much he cares for Jacob Tremblay. Like in a lot of these kind of like superhero movie riffs, it feels like that's almost like a formality more than it is like a thing that they actually care about doing. But you actually feel that that's something that's important and on the filmmakers' minds. And then also you feel that in when they're talking about the passed away mother, right? The way that you get like those little like quick snapshots out of nowhere, and it's like they didn't have to do that. They went out of their way to like take these quick stills of this actress like doing that, and they half-assed some of the violence in this movie. So like the fact that like that's where they're putting their attention into, that like it goes into like what we've been speaking to on this greater scale, right? And it's that's where I'll leave it.
I love the hobo. He's great.
Yeah, actually, no. Let's bring him back. Actually, I wanted to talk on the hobo. He's so nice.
I wish he was in more of the movie. Again, I feel like
I kept waiting for him to show up because it seemed like they were introducing him to play a larger role other than comic relief, and there was kind of almost like I don't know what you call it, where it's like someone seems knowing but is also an idiot at the same time, because it's like he seemed to like know more than he was letting on, but then also the stuff of like when he was like, "Oh, who told you I was a doctor?" And
he was it's very Stephen Chow-y kind of thing. I was reminded of Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh yeah,
with that hobo, who's like a grifter scam artist, but he still knows what you're talking about.
He also played the Hobo King in Under the Silver Lake.
Really?
That's what he. That's how we knew him. He looked so familiar to me.
Um,
That makes so much sense. But like the character, he actually reminded me of, just like in a like immediate sense. He kind of reminded me of the cell phone retail employee / drug dealer from Friendship, where
Ha!
he's like this detached shaman in the film, and like he's often like the importance that the protagonist puts onto them is so overinflated to what they actually are. Like that was the shade that I got from that character.
Like he's just
Sorry,
some guy, but because of the context that
the
Winston's
protagonist gives them.
yeah, like, oh wow, this is means something that this guy found me. It's like, no, he's just a random kooky guy in the woods.
He's a doctor, right? And
Mm.
he thinks that he's gonna do something, right? But it's like, why would you trust this crazy person in the woods? You know, like beyond his empathy, he's not all there, right? It's textually he's schizophrenic, right? Like
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. But like I'm riding off the high of knowing that he's the Hobo King. I had no idea, but that's awesome.
he was also piano player in Insane Clown Posse's Big Money Rustlers.
Oh,
Okay, so he's
He knows
worked
ball.
with the real killer nuts.
Yeah, right. He knows how to. He knows how it goes. So good. He has that energy. He has that energy. Again, I love his vibe. I love, again, the movie definitely seems more like it's definitely pointed toward like let's lampoon specific superhero beats and cliches, which I think works for and kind of against it. Again, that's why I feel like a lot of those gags, a lot of those jokes work like this, like it's meant to be like very much a shitpost take on like the wise mentor or like the wizard Shazam or something like that. Like, someone's giving pep talks, call to adventure kind of thing. And that kind of stuff works. It's just other places where like, it like, what is this, superhero movie or something, like what were you doing there? But again, I love his vibe. I didn't like they ate those poor chicken's eggs at the end. Oh.
Well, I didn't like it, but I also liked it because it showed like just reinforcing like the casual cruelty of this world of like you're like, oh, you think that this was gonna be like a like nice little moment. He's like, no, he's eating the eggs.
Oh well. At least they didn't show chicken died. So that would have ruined the movie. We got 0 stars at that point.
yeah, you can't kill that chicken. We've already come to know the chicken. To kill them would be cruel.
Should they have, speaking of cruel killing, should they have actually killed Jacob Tremblay?
No, because that scene overall was so lame that they killed him. I would have gone pissed in that scene. Like, he deserves a better death than that.
Especially if that's how he died. Yeah, it would have been like so. I was surprised. I was like shocked. Like, not just that it seemed like they were doing it, because I was like, oh, that's it. Like, it seems like it would be like a bigger moment, but then yeah, it makes sense, and we wouldn't have got him dancing at the end, so it's good he lived.
I'll be honest, I never thought that he died. Like when
No,
he exploded, I was like, oh, he lived. So it was never a question in my mind, at least.
It was never a question in my mind, which is also why I was like, oh my god, this movie really going to like be, like I would just rather just show him get saved than that entire theatric of it, because like it's so.
Well, because the fight keeps going, and I was like, I feel like they would have shown him by now that he's still alive, and then he comes in, like I feel like they hold it off just long enough to be like, wait, did they kill him? Because initially I was like, yeah, okay, they don't, no body, no, he ain't still there, but then it was like, we would have cut to him by now.
I agree that they really play it well.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree with that too. Let's see here. What else can we talk about? It's so slight, in terms of, different ways here. I love the doctor. Doctor's
he was
fantastic.
great.
The doctor's fantastic. One of the bigger laughs of it. You know what? I do commend. Okay, you know what? This is probably the biggest laugh this movie got for me, is that it really hates exposition. He really hates it. Like making Blair like, this is not important. This is not important at all for us. So we're just gonna skip over it. I can say here, just like he just like left that entire thing blank, and he just knew we're just gonna have like this. We're gonna have big noise over it, so we don't have to explain anything. You just gotta accept it, and we're gonna move on. And I respect that. I respect the hell of that.
And then the
Yeah.
ADR of the construction guys being like, "Oh, you fucked up," and then again when it like
At the end, like
jackhammers over
the
him, like
second time.
you fucked up the second time.
It's so good. A lot of those touches, I appreciate. You know, overall.
I like that the doctor is pointing to like you guys are saying, like he hates exposition, right? And you wallpaper over that. So instead of just telling the audience what you need to know, he's just like, here's a normal brain. This is what your brain looks like. You're fucked, like that's the way the film like is setting up its stakes. And also, like, I have to say, I love the fact that he saves a cat in the first 5 minutes. Come on.
Yeah.
How cheesy is that?
I almost
Like it,
wish there was, maybe it would have been too winking, but like more kind of not meta in the way of the jokes that they give Taylor Page, where she kind of just makes a look of like, I can't believe that happened, but more of like when the killer nuts show up and shoot her, and one of them says "jump scare." Like, I wanted more stuff like that, because I like that. I think I was the only one who laughed at that in my
I
audience.
I like that joke. Again, I wish if there was gonna be winking, I wish more of that kind of like that kind of thing was there, because usually it's more like, okay, we have the ninja guy, right? And it's funny, but then they point out what the ninja guy does. Like, okay, I wish we had less of that, more of what you're saying, Doug. Like, that's the kind of like, okay, it's funny, but why are you calling attention to it? It's funny because it's just something that livens up the world. It's like if they pointed out in Hobo with a Shotgun that the Plague had this arcade game based after them. And that's funny, and that's around that there's an arcade game based off like the killer assassins of this movie. But like if you point it out, you made that a whole thing, then you're kind of ruining the effect of it, the impact of that.
Well, that, yeah, it speaks to, was it Dan Harmon who points out in the Ace Ventura movies where someone where he sees a guy who looks like Mr. Monopoly, and it's like, well, that doesn't make your character clever for noticing that, because you put the Mr. Monopoly guy in the movie, like you cast that guy and dressed him up to look like the Monopoly guy. So, or I think it was like Mr. Peanut or something, but the point was like, that's like,
Mr. Monopoly, yeah.
yeah, you're having the character notice a thing that you put in the movie for them to notice. So if you want to have that kind of winking, I feel like there's better ways to play it.
it's funny that Dan Harmon said that, considering Dan Harmon's work is guilty of that oftentimes.
I tried to watch Community. I'm gonna say something really hot take right here. I tried to watch.
Oh no.
I tried to watch Community. Unwatchable if you're not 13 years old anymore.
No,
I
can't.
I kind of
turn
believe
my-
you.
Sorry, I watched that when I was like,
No, I believe you.
when I was that age, I watched that. Like, I loved it. I know.
I watched it in my 20s. I don't know. It's still good.
How old are you now? Because you're sort of
34.
telling you, okay, you're not gonna like it anymore unless you're still in your 20s. And then because I'm not in my 20s either anymore. Anyway, so no, because I loved it when I was a kid. I was in middle school. I loved a couple seasons. I tried watching it like last month, and the first episodes, I'm like, God damn, this feels like a Nickelodeon TV show. I'm too old for this now, man. Like, oh, like what was this? Like Nancy
I feel like
Classified?
that'll age better than Rick and Morty. Like, I'm more likely to revisit
Oh,
Community.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Rick and Morty, then I think anything will age better than that. Like, give me more Koala Man. That show got raw deal.
If we're talking about properties, like there's another thing that this movie made me think of was Joe Bob Briggs. This movie feels like it would be on The Last Drive-In, and I feel like this is like a classic, like,
I agree with
drive-in
you.
movie.
I agree with you. Because of because I don't
Because
I
of
don't
what?
I don't like Shudder movies or The Last Drive-In. I feel like it's
There you go.
I feel like it's gotten too much in that vibe where it's like, we know we can't we know we're in on that joke. I get it. I like laugh at the joke. Don't explain it. I feel like that whole Last Drive-In group, and I think more really just the vibe around it, the culture around it. I just don't like at all. But yeah, no, I definitely would
That's
feel like
fair.
it, and that's why I feel like I don't know if I mentioned up here, but like, there's a lot of, I think this is where horror is right now. Like, horror comedy is right now. We're gonna rely a lot on like the shock value of the gore as part of the humor, and I would agree. This definitely feels like it would be on there, because that's really where that kind of style of horror is right now, in terms of like its evolution. So I definitely agree with your point there.
What is the like best, most recent horror comedy? Now that you brought that up.
I would say Weapons, but people are like, "I said not a comedy. How dare you? That little
Oh,
boy was being
You're
abused."
right.
Weapons was very funny.
I know, right? Like
Yeah.
people thought it was funny. How sick could they be?
I
Like,
mean, it's
what do you?
also disturbing, but
But
also
it's
funny.
one of the first lines of the joke, of the movie. The little girl's like, the cops were so stupid and embarrassed. Like, what are you talking about? This is hilarious. Everyone started laughing in my theater when that line happened. It's like the first line. First line. It's so good.
You're absolutely right that Weapons is a horror comedy, and
It
and it's not. And Doug is right in the sense that it's a horror that's also funny. Like it doesn't sacrifice the fact that it's a horror film to be funny, and it doesn't sacrifice the fact that it's scary to be funny, like to be a comedy at times. So everyone's right.
Yeah, Barbarian walks that same exact line because it's like extremely disturbing. Like you're dealing with like
Oh.
rape and incest and stuff, but then the Justin Long stuff is so funny.
It is. It really is. So yeah, no, I think that's what makes any horror comedy the best is that it knows its identity. That's like Return of the Living Dead is a great horror comedy because it's really funny, it's really exuberant, it's really kind of ambitious and comedic and it's very enthusiastic. It's very peppy, but it's also got some of the most horrific, depressing, and dire and nihilistic tones in a zombie movie this side of 28 Days Later. But it works because it understands that what the balance it needs to have. So, you know, I just love a good sense of self. Caught stealing, great sense of self. Caught stealing is really funny. I see people talk about caught stealing. The trailers lied. It's actually really really dark. Well, it's not more darker than I wouldn't say like Blood Simple or Barton Fink. People
I
laugh at
mean,
those.
yeah, people act like that those are mutually exclusive things because I feel like when Friendship came out, people were like, "It's way darker than I was expecting," and I was like, You didn't expect that a Tim Robinson movie would like go to there?" I mean, it's like it's not even that I've seen darker comedies.
It's okay for it to be dark sometimes. And I feel like it's been so long for people that, things that can roll around the mud a bit, it's coming back and some people are bracing at it because it's been gone for so long, but it's nice that at least the attempt is there. I wanted to circle back to the Joe Bob Briggs conversation a bit because Elvis said a lot of things that I don't personally agree with in terms of like Joe Bob's and Shudder being like, being as a representation of what's bad about horror. And I do want to dig into that a bit more. But before I get into that, actually, I wanted to actually touch on like Doug, like you didn't voice anything when Elvis said that. I just wanted to know, like, what are your thoughts on Joe Bob? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? I just want to know.
I just kind of am vaguely culturally aware of it. Like I don't watch the Last Drive-In, but I know people who are associated with that and Joe Bob Briggs as like a persona. I from what I've gleaned, like I don't know. I don't see it as being the like part of the problem with modern horror, but I again like I
All right,
really
I
I
don't
like
think
the
it's part of the
concept.
problem. I'm saying like it's kind of like where, but no, I would here. I want to repeat. I said it's part of like that culture that I'm seeing
Yeah,
around
sorry.
or
Yeah,
right
I didn't
now.
mean to misquote
Right?
you. I didn't
No,
mean to
no,
misquote you.
more like that. I didn't think you misquoted me. Before we go down, like I don't dislike The Last Drive-In. I don't dislike Shudder or anything like that. But I feel like right now, like there's a culture around like horror where a lot of stuff is like we gotta be as zany, zaniness. And so I feel like not representing the Last Drive-In itself, but I feel like Last Drive-In, a lot of its fandom that I keep seeing around is like, well, this has got to be, really, really, sweet and zany, and we got to be a close knit kind of thing where everyone's happy and peppy and positive, on positivity only kind of thing. And I feel like it's just like that's kind of where Homer's like, it's gotta be, if it's gotta be gruesome, it's gotta be gruesome in like a very kind of funny, over the top kind of way, or something that we can just kind of just rib at. And like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of those people are a little not, it's not my cup of tea.
Well, I think that speaks more to like the fandom than
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Like
I've had some bad run-ins with the mutant hive, whatever they call themselves.
The mutant fam.
The mutant hive.
I think how
Ugh.
some fandoms interact with just B movies in general kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like even though I personally enjoy like how did this get made, like I've even been to a couple of their shows when they come to Chicago. I feel like the fandom itself comes are ed coming to it from the perspective like, oh, these movies are so stupid and bad, and where it's like, I don't know, I grew up like watching Svengoolie. I still watch Svengoolie from time to time, and even though like, yeah, he's doing a shtick and making jokes, but there's like a love for that schlock, you know, of like no, this was, you know, no one sets out to make a bad movie, and the fact, I guess there's like some kind of the producer scenario where someone's like, we got this movie needs to fail, but most of the time people aren't setting out to make like a bad movie, and there's like that's what is like part of the charm for some of those like B movies, and also they can still be creative or like do things that like you wouldn't expect because of their, you know, kind of lacking the restraints of something that's like more a bigger budget or has more of a studio mandate that they can kind of fuck around with form or whatever more. So yeah, I if that's how the Last Drive-In fans are in that kind of way, I could see that being annoying, because it's like even if something's schlocky or kind of bad, like I still genuinely like I almost kind of regret that with my friends that we started calling certain, like we're like, oh, let's do a bad movie night, and it's like, oh well hold on, some of these are like good. So like
I think the worst thing a movie can be is insincere.
right.
Exactly.
And that's the vibe I get from the Silent Night, Deadly Night. Did you get that trailer in front of your screening, Doug?
Which
Silent
oh
Night, Deadly Night.
yeah
That looks insincere to me.
it didn't look like my cup of tea. I was kind of late for the trailers. The main ones I caught were Shelby Oaks looks good. I have no context for Chris Stuckman as, you know, whatever he does, but the movie itself looks good.
I hope the theme song is there during the production logo. You know, I hope that like it opens with
Yeah, you know, why not? You know what?
Yeah, right?
It should end like you know, Spike Lee sometimes ends his stuff, or like, you know, it goes show enough, you know, you dig?
Yeah.
You know, where it says like you got stuck eyes at the end of the credits. Just put it there. Just
That
do
would be
it.
perfect.
Yeah, we got stuck with eyes, better or worse.
I want to bring a bit back to the Joe
Go
Bob
ahead.
Briggs thing, just because, like, you know, I wanted to hear all this. I don't want to drag this out because I do also have some complicated feelings on all of this as well. So I think that Doug hit the nail on the head in terms of like there's the community element in terms of like making something for the sake of expressing, you know, accepting it on its own terms, and I feel like that's something that Joe Bob Briggs specifically does really well. I feel like if I were to like talk to like a young film fan and they were like, I really love horror movies and I want to learn more about film history, I would show them The Last Drive-In, because like what other show is doing a double feature where they have the original Nosferatu followed up by Werner Herzog's Nosferatu, right? Like I feel like something about that is really important and interesting, right? But then there's the element of like, I don't really like Joe Bob Briggs, the person. You know, I don't really think that the guy behind the character is much more clever than like even a Bill Maher, right? But I think that what he brings to like contextualizing films is very interesting. And then I also really like Darcy the male girl in terms of like her insights of films. And then I have issue with like, you know, some of the ways that she, you know, is friends with weird people from the AEW sphere. Like, what's Chris Jericho? Like, she's really close friends with Chris Jericho, and that guy is a creep. I do not trust him, and I also I don't blame that entirely on her. Obviously, it's one of those things where it's like I see her often running in circles like that, and I'm like, oh no, right? So it's like if we're then getting into the community element of it, right, where it's like I think that the show itself is fantastic in terms of platforming really interesting films from film history. and also bringing in some of the newer blood, right? And some of the newer blood will be like legitimately some of the best horror films that are on the market right now, like some of the best. And then others are like, just people trying to scrape by making what they can, right? And I like that there is equal platform for those two things, and it allows for the entire conceptualization of horror film history to be there. But then to get into the grander point, Shudder, right? Where Shudder is a really great platform in terms of hosting horror film history, but it also exists within like a postmodern context where it's like people's idea of horror rather than like what it actually is. So oftentimes things that aren't really that great are elevated to the same level because they're trying to be that so bad it's good, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that's the major like I guess like philosophical oxymoronic battle that like Shudder has to deal with, and then the Last Drive-In has to deal with, and then the fans like listen. I like the Last Drive-In. I don't like the fans. Like some of them are very like personally attached in a weird way.
Oh
And
man, I have a story. I don't know if I should bring it up. I have a story where like it's one of my run-ins with these people. Okay, where like obviously Darcy Mill girl, she had like a previous career, and she's open about that. She's still
good for her. Good
yeah
for her.
yeah she's open
I mean,
about
it's
that.
nothing to be ashamed
Yeah,
of. It's
nothing,
like, yeah.
and she still posts about it. She still like runs with that circle. She had lots of industry contacts and industry friends still, and she posts about it a lot. She's not shy about it. She'll do whatever. And then like there was like a year ago, like and I got into this. I'm not sure why, but I just decided like no, this is ridiculous. People, a lot of fans, a lot of the Last Giant fans, like I can't believe there's so many creeps who keep bringing up her previous career whenever she's on the show. Like she does that herself. She brings up. She's not. She why are you policing this kind of stuff? Like, oh my god, man.
You're right. You're 100% right. If she is happy with the work that she did and talks about it often, right, and she engages with that also off mic as well, I like that's not an issue, at least in my eyes, right? There some people try to like police themselves, in terms of like trying to be as respectful as possible, and sometimes in the process of doing that they don't actually respect sex work as an art form.
I was just about to say it circles back around to being disrespectful because I'm like, if you're assuming that just bringing it up is negative, then you're like, oh, so do you just think less of anyone in that profession?
Yeah, right. Like, oh, she was saved by this, so that's good. So that means like I think it feels like again half of it is like them trying to be like a moral. Like they feel like being part of this fandom is morally correct. So hey, like the Flash Drive-In, she's doing this now, so it's morally better. So it's less icky, But like whatever.
It's a slippery slope for any fandom to start like attaching morality to that, except for the people who follow me, who are all morally good.
Except people who watch trauma movies, right? These are all morally correct, very politically correct films that we all love.
Especially James Gunn. Especially James Gunn.
Especially James Gunn, man. Who else would have written such fantastic lines like F word, F word, N word, F word, F word, N word in Romeo and Juliet? I mean, so amazing. These are great movies.
Hashtag never forget that Kevin Bacon said the N word in Super.
Yeah, right. Oh,
that's right.
Someone should have dropped an N-bomb in Toxic Avenger, and I'll give it 2 more points for the audacity.
just for like a touch more bad taste.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We need some.
I get what you're saying.
We need some bad taste here. He said, Lloyd said it wholeheartedly, full-throatedly in Shitstorm. Like, why, man? You're like on death's door, man. He's not letting go. Anyway,
Lloyd Kaufman is such a strange figure. Like, can we just appreciate like he is one of the like even more than the Full Moon Productions guy, right? Charlie Band, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like he has like gotten more success than even Lloyd Kaufman did, and Lloyd Kaufman is like still doing it, and he never has reached a point where he is like beyond just moderately famous. And like there's something really sad about that. I respect him for staying true to his vision, but like it's really sad that like it never really fully came together for him. And like that's like the ultimate paradox I think of Trauma for me when I think about it and when I watch it.
I mean, I think so too. It's like, I mean, his wife obviously had a lot more success. His wife was like an NYC film commissioner for a couple of years, for a couple of 10 years, um, which was crazy. You know, like whoa, man, the the some guy was married to the NYC film commissioner, but also I feel like I'm not sure he is too uncompromising, I would think, because when I bring up Sergeant Kabuki-Man earlier, right? Sergeant Kabuki-Man had international financing of a huge multinational corporation, right? And it was like they were like, "Hey, can you make like a family-friendly, kid-friendly adventure film or like superhero film, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." He took the money and he got Sergeant Kabuki-Man, which has like this really kind of raunchy 2 minute sex scene in it, and the first scene itself is about like this bare naked, bare-chested woman getting stabbed through the stomach, and like, why, man? Could he not help himself? You know, could he not help himself? Is the whole thing, you know? And I guess not. And that's always going to hold them back. But other than, these movies wouldn't be what they are without it. So, double-edged sword.
Well, if you get hired that guy to do some, I mean, like even if you ask him it to be family friendly, I feel like you have to adjust your expectations. I don't know. It's kind of like, is it a whatever the parable of like whatever animal of like it's either a snake or a scorpion, and then it bites someone. It's like, well, what did you expect? I'm a snake, bitch.
Also, he's a Zionist, so screw him. You know,
Oh well, that's no good.
no good. I think Rolo. I think Tony was going to a better. I don't think he finished his Joe Vog's break point. Thing is off. Thing is off.
Oh, Tony, did we lose him?
Oh, maybe.
Sometimes when we're recording, I've done some stuff with him that recently that. I mean, we both have internet that goes in and out, so maybe this time his had a momentarily fart. But yeah, I don't have super strong feelings about The Last Drive-In. I guess I was like watching what I was like, wait, some of those people follow me. They're listening. I don't want to say but I fully believe that kind of moralizing that you referenced, that's just in so many fandoms, which is like just online fandoms in general need to chill out.
Yeah.
I had an internet fart, by the way.
Yeah, no problem.
You guys were right about that. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, finish your thought. I know you were on a roll.
Who was the Zionist? I just wanted to.
I
heard that part.
Lloyd is still Lloyd. Is
no,
which is why
Lloyd Kaufman's a Zionist. I had
well,
no idea.
he made like a post like around right after October 7th that was very. And like not right after, like a couple of weeks after, like in November, about like, oh man, we gotta hold strong, you know, in Israel, against like this war, and like what, man?
No, that's so sad.
So which is why I'm 100% sure that it was not anti-Zionism in around 2025, because there was, James Gunn wouldn't be hearing about it. Okay.
No, well, that's where I'll differ. I do think that. As stupid as it sounds,
no subtext. I know. I agree, subtext, but
yeah,
the text, I don't believe it.
Well, I agree. I do agree. The thing is, the movie does obfuscate it, right? I feel like Superman is trying to like that's another case where they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, where James Gunn is going like, oh well, we just made the movie, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of like European coded,
so it can't be Israel.
But like anyone with a working brain knows that that's what they're going for, right? So the thing is like I that's where I brace a bit with like James Gunn, I guess, being brought into that. But one thing I would say again to Lloyd Kaufman is like that's just so sad.
It is, right?
Because it's like he. A lot of what his films represent is like even if they're really in poor taste, like definitely has been brought up on this podcast, he's tried very hard to be like transgressive and like punk rock, in terms of like trying to talk about things that you wouldn't see in regular films. And we missed that with this newer version. At the same time, this newer version is talking about what matters to this modern context, right? The whole medical debt, the whole trying to exist in a empire that's built against the people, right? And to loosely bring it back to Joe Bob Briggs, because we wanted to bring it back there, I feel like like Doug was saying, any fandom is going to take the inferred goals of a media group or show or anything beyond what they intended, right? And they will distort that in ways that aren't fair to the original people. And even though I brought up my own critiques of the individual people behind it, I think their hearts are in the right place, and I think that they're doing a good. But in response to that, people are parasocial and weird, right? And I think that the parasociality and the weirdness comes from an ownership of IP, not just of The Last Drive-In, but like of horror itself. And I think that there's a preciousness that some people treat horror with, that oftentimes, canonizes some things that don't deserve to be canonized, as well as like, elevating certain entries within long-running genres, long-running franchises, just because they're in the franchise itself. This is all a long-winded way to just say that, like, while The Last Drive-In brings an important spotlight to some hidden gems, as well as like important landmarks within film history and horror, I do think that Shudder's ultimate goal is flawed and feeds into a more negative aspect of film itself, as well as horror fandom in general.
Completely agree. I mean, I feel like that's going to lead to like further either fragmentation or sanitization. And because if you want to create like a idea what horror is, like a unified theory, you're going to have to make some compromises. And I feel like if you're trying to chase that, if you're trying to like make yourself that kind of emblem, then like what are you going to be putting out, and why would we care in the long run if everything starts to become homogenized?
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about horror, is that it's so diverse and hard to pin down into like, this is the thing that horror is, and that it's unsacred, that you can kind of do whatever with it, like that's so yeah. Any company or entity who's like trying to kind of like control that narrative, I feel like is misguided.
Though I will say some of the Shudder originals are still great. I think
Deadstream was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I
Right?
really like that one.
That's maybe the guy who made the only good VHS short, the only good one.
Okay, well, another big disagreement there. Come on, because
This is
VHS
the
2
biggest
has
VHS fan here.
I'll name
Yeah.
I'll name 5 good ones, and then that'll be it. Okay. All right. So the one I'm talking about, which the birthday the New Year's Eve Satan Hell Ritual one, fantastic. I love it. That should have been an entire movie. I would watch an entire movie based on that. So that'll be one. I'm gonna count these two as one together. The Immortal Lake / Assassin Family one. That's fantastic. I love it. I love that one. Let's see here. VHS Dream one. I like that one a lot too.
What about you haven't brought up Gareth Evans and Timo with the cult one in VHS 2? That's like one of my favorite ones for sure.
You know what? I can barely remember VHS 2. Which one was that one about?
Oh no, that's like the Indonesian cult, right? And like it's a documentary crew that's like getting exclusive access to them. Do you remember that one?
Let me see. And look it up. Maybe if I let's see here. Yeah, I remember that one. I didn't like. I thought that was too obvious, too tedious. Like, oh, look, it's like this child. Like, I don't know. I feel like I like the ones where I don't. I hate being reminded of something. I feel like that one felt.
There's steam coming out of Tony's ears right now.
Yeah, I can tell. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure why you thought that one was so memorable. Like, well, can you tell me why you think that one's memorable? Because I forgot that. I remember it now. Because it has like that Baphomet looking, guy demon at the end that corners him at the end. But why do you think it was memorable? I don't know why you would think that was memorable. I really don't.
I just want to amend what Doug said. He said he imagined me with steam coming out of my ears, but instead I was imagine.
You're doing scanners. You were doing scanners to me.
No, no. Hold on. Do you guys know who Brent Butt is?
No, but I love that name.
That's a great name.
He's like he tried really hard to be like the Canadian Seinfeld. He's the star and the showrunner of Corner Gas. If you guys are familiar with that program,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I know what Corner Guest is. I've never
Seen it.
It's been on
Just-
in the background or something.
just look up a picture from Corner Gas, look at the main character, and then that's the emotion I'm feeling right now. Listening to Elvis talk about
Okay,
this.
yeah, that makes sense. Bald. You're feeling bald. I
Bald-
understand.
bald and like kind of bored and sad, just like,
Yeah.
oh no, come on.
Okay.
No, I didn't mean bored and like not entertained,
But-
because I definitely agree in terms of energy, but when it comes to the thing itself, it's the heart. It's the you get like the cult leader who is also a cast member in one of the Raid movies, I believe.
Yeah.
Or is he and he's just fantastic in that. Like whenever I think about like the VHS films, like performance is a big thing as well in those films for me, and he's like one of the best performances in the whole series. And then the way that it sets itself up, because obviously a lot of VHS films, anthology shorts, it's about like, here's the reality, and then here's how we burst the reality. The reality that it presents at the start is already unsettling, and then it becomes even more unsettling.
You know what? Let's do all of them.
I was already planning to watch because I've only seen one of the 90s ones.
My brother loves
I'd be
these,
down.
so I've seen all of them, and like I was dragged to like 90% of them in terms of watching. Yeah, no. So I feel like I gotta say, when I said 5, I was like stretching it. Like I don't think there's even 5 I like.
Whoa. Okay, I'm excited to go through these.
So if you guys want to do it, I want to
Yes.
finish your thought, but then we should probably save the rest for these. And we're gonna do spin-off movies as well. Okay, we're gonna do Siren, and I definitely think we should do Deadstream, because I'm counting that as one. Because I would love an excuse to rewatch that.
The director of that had a segment in one of.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it led to that. Because
can we include in Devil's Due in that as well? Did you guys see Devil's Due?
No, but I'm gonna watch it then.
That movie, like, that's one of those movies that has like 30% on Rotten Tomatoes or something, but it's a fucking banger. Like Devil's Due is really good.
Didn't you post about it recently? I think I remember hearing about it.
Maybe a year ago, honestly.
I mean, I don't know. The name sounds familiar.
About it.
The name sounds familiar.
It's a good ass movie.
Oh yeah, no,
it's forgotten.
We'll definitely use it, because apparently it was a direct result of their VHS when they got attention for it. So yeah, let's definitely do it then.
Yes. I'd be so down. I love the VHS series, and like that makes me like everything you've said already is like made me Brent Butt from Corner Gas.
All right. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do that, but definitely finish your thought, and then maybe we think about like last thoughts on this.
Oh, the thoughts are finished. You go ahead.
Okay. All right. So Toxic Avenger. I know what. Just kind of final thoughts on it. You know what? I'm definitely gonna buy. Like I mentioned, I pre-ordered it already. And hearing you guys talk about it has really kind of softened my thoughts on it. I'm not gonna raise its score from 2 stars. I'm not. But I'm definitely going to think about it more kindly now. And I did make a disparaging tweet when I first left the theater, but that tweet wasn't entirely disparaging because I do believe in it. Okay. Let's see here. Is my thing even on? No, I don't think my thing is even on. I was going to show you the what's it called? The popcorn bucket, which is a tin nuclear waste can.
Oh, cool.
I just have to ask, is that Planet of the Apes?
Yes, it still is. And good story is that I actually got in the Kickstarter tabletop thing that I mentioned to you guys when we did that discussion.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have to learn how to do that, and then maybe we should probably start a game too.
Tabletop stuff's a lot of fun. It's kind of crazy that it's as an IP that's been around for so long that there's not like more Planet of the Apes tie-in stuff. Like has there even been a video game? I mean, I know there was like a short, almost like demo length like choose your own adventure thing that came out around Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I want to say, but like I don't count that as like a game. Like they haven't like made like there should be a Conquest of the Planet of the Apes or a Battle of the Planet of the Apes game.
Make like a Ubisoft like open world Planet of the Apes game where you're just like Caesar and you have to like run around doing like side quests.
I gotta
but you're
climb a
just swinging
tower
around.
to open up the map. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
good.
100%. But yeah, no. While I try to get my cam working again, what about your stats? Anything you want to bring up before we wrap it up?
I just, I had a really fun time with this, and anyone who is on the fence, like, I'm not guaranteeing that you'll love this movie, but I think it's still worth taking the time to go see, because, like, yeah, you're not gonna see anything else like it. Because, like, even if I do agree, like, that it pulls its punches in some aspects, it's still, like, this isn't something I'm going to show my parents. It's still too grody for them. So like I think stuff like that is good that exists. And it's like it's still too grody for like some audiences. Like even if like by trauma standards this is like tamer, this is in poor taste to someone, and I think that has value.
100%. Well, so look. Uh-huh.
Oh, nice.
I got a lot of tchotchkes already inside it. So it'll be good.
That's the best use case for a popcorn bucket, right? You don't actually put more popcorn in it. You just put random things in it.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I really hate these novelty buckets more or less. So this has some utility. I love when they give me little swag stuff. Like when I saw Alien Romulus, they got me. They gave out like free Weyland-Yutani iron-on patches. So that was cool.
Oh, nice.
Because
like if the bucket's like too good, then it's like why do I want to grease it up with popcorn? Like the Nosferatu coffin is like well designed, and it's like I just use that
also the space, space issue too.
Yeah, right. It's like it doesn't seem like you could put that much popcorn in it, and so I just use it for like storing weed stuff.
They don't travel well either. It's ridiculous.
So I've got one of the Dune popcorn buckets.
And,
the one and this
fuck.
is.
Oh, so you a freaky freak, huh?
I've never fucked this. I want to go on record and just say I've never fucked this. So you turn on
the black light.
Okay.
Hold on.
Prove it.
Turn off the lights in here. Yeah.
So that's anti-trauma. You should totally fuck it.
I'm bringing this on because what I do with this is I have all of the ticket stubs for movies I watch. I put them in this bucket, right? And what I do is when I'm bored, I reach into it, I pull it out. Oh no, my hand gets stuck. This is the fatal flaw of
that's the fatal flaw.
That's the fatal flaw. Not that you can fuck it.
But that's the positive.
I just pulled out a ticket, and I got do not expect too much from the world. So you got the Radu Jude classic.
So to rewatch or for advice.
That's what I was adding to the popcorn bucket.
I had the monkey popcorn bucket, and they try to force me to take popcorn. Like, don't put popcorn in this monkey popcorn bucket. And I have it like sitting somewhere. I love that movie. Number 1 movie of the year. So
yeah, good movie. People are. I mean, me and Tony talked about this on previous record of how people get so upset at Oz Perkins, where it's like he ain't hurt nobody.
Yeah, he made like 2 mediocre movies. Everything else is a banger. Who cares?
I haven't even seen all of his, like especially like the earlier. I think I hopped on at Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel is so fucking good. Gretel and Hansel. I mean,
I'll go to bat for Blackcoat's Daughter. Have you seen that?
No, I still need to see that.
I like it, but I feel like I had watched too many horror movies by then. Because I feel like I can see where it's going, and it's nice. It's simple. I wasn't impressed by it, but I was like, this is good. I mean, I just wish he would go back to acting again. I think the last role he had before Nope, which was more of a cameo, was that he was the dumb communications officer from J.J. Abrams' Star Trek that gets fired for being too dumb. And like, no wonder he stopped acting. That's in the first J.J. Abrams. I'm watching him for some reason the other week, and they're like, I don't understand Romula, sir, and like, you're fired, and then Uhura gets on his chair. So that's it. That's his only contribution to that movie.
How did he get the job if he didn't? Like, He said like the Academy.
Like, why is he the one in that position? And okay, anyway, I think it's Hayden Monkey's great. So overall, pretty good year for horror comedy, gross out stuff.
Mhm.
Any last thoughts, Tony, for wrap up?
Yeah, wrap up, going off of what everyone's already said, like this is like a kind of like it's safer than most trauma films for sure, right? But you could definitely show this to most people and they would probably enjoy something from it just because it wears its heart on its sleeve
Hmm.
so earnestly. And that's really the thing that makes this movie work, right? Like I brought up at the beginning of this podcast, right? Like it was announced in 2019. It was done in 2023. We're seeing it now 2 years later. It's taken 6 years, for Bacon Blair to get this in front of people's eyes. And it doesn't feel as belabored as that would sound. And what it's in service of is just making sure that everyone's having a good time and like laughing, and there's gore to an extreme degree that's tamer than some other things, but at the same time it's more than you would see in others. It is truly unrated in moments, but at the same time we've reached a point where ratings don't even really matter. So it's like we've definitely seen things that are more gruesome than this, but at the same time, its heart is in the right place, so we appreciate that. And again, because of what it's talking about with medical debt, and you got Peter Dinklage's performance that's so earnest and sincere, it really wins you over, and that's what makes this movie just special to me. You
Mm,
don't get a lot of things that have this combination of stuff together. Um, Naked Gun, the remake that we got this year, that was a great spoof movie, and this feels like it's a step down from that. If the Naked Gun remake is like an A, like solid Hollywood blockbuster, this is a B movie, and it's happy to be a B movie. And
hmm
I'm just happy that we've got a B movie that for this modern era is not so obsessed with trying to be too gory, because I feel like it's been in that direction for so long.
All
The
right.
fact that and also speaking to a grander sense, we've been in cynicism land for so long, and empathy is starting to appear in movies again. And
It's great.
it's not it
Yeah.
like it's just awesome to see, And this movie wears its heart on its sleeve, as has been said on this podcast already, and that's why I love it. But not love it even in a. I think this movie is great. I love it in the sense of like I will throw this on again in the future. I will laugh, and it will
I
make me
love the
feel good.
ethos of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I felt kind of emboldened. Like, you know what? I should probably put on some Toxic Crusaders episodes. Just because it's of that time. It's of that it's of that piece. I love, again, if they did like fan art of this or artwork of this that was like more cartoony, more animation bent, I would love that. I would love to see that. Um, and I might read that comic they're coming out with. They're coming out with like a sequel
Oh,
tie-in
really?
comic to this. Yeah, I might read it. I think that this definitely has a life to it. That is more episodic. I feel like that's something that would really work, and I'll rewatch it when it comes out. When I get it on Blu-ray, I'll rewatch it. I think that um, there's a lot of here to love because it's a very loving movie, and that's great. I think that really works, and I think also one thing I didn't bring up the scene I really love because of how heart wrenching it is when he's talking to his insurance provider, on the
Oh,
phone.
that was like I mean, they're
That's
playing
too
with the
real.
absurdity of like, oh, I'm talking about tears, sir, but that's what it feels like, and
Yeah. But it's a
that's
pun.
American healthcare. Yeah.
It's a double. It's a double meaning word until he's talking about tears, but he's like on the brink of sobbing in that scene too. So it's talking about tears, the pun, which is really good. It's a really good one. And
See, I'm so dumb I didn't even get that till just now. This
talking
movie is
about,
more clever than I am.
yeah. But I love that. It was really
Macon
real.
Blair.
As someone who works in customer service for, elderly people, on the phone, it's too real. It's too real. It's too often, and it's too easy to be detached to human suffering and misery and hardship. And if this tackles that, if this has a really kind of point against it. It doesn't. And I did say it pulls punches in other ways in terms of provocativeness, but it doesn't pull punches there. It confronts that head on, and I do respect that. So, if anything, this discussion did, lean me toward, open my mind a bit more, open my empathy a bit more on how it handles that, rather than, of course, the stuff I wish it could have done one way or the other, But I did love that, and that movie, that moment, really moved me. It moved me a lot.
It's a better spokesman for kindness than Superman.
Yeah, we raised that fucker, man, and its horribleness. At least Toxic Avenger is like, I'm still a regular human being, for like 5 minutes at the end. No, they accept it. They love him.
The movie ends with him in a button-up shirt watching his son perform.
People accept him for who he is, not because he's like, oh, you're still a human on the inside. No, they accept him even though he's like this horrible monster.
He wakes up every day just like everyone else. He's a prey.
The real toxicity is the new hope is the new toxicity. How about that?
Ooh, yeah, I like that. It's a toxic hope.
Hope is the new I'm gonna tweet that out. Hope is the new toxicity, or maybe Tony should, because I was already bragged on it. I don't think it would come good for me. But hope is the new toxicity.
Oh, the
from like hope is the new punk rock, from Superman.
If only there was an Iggy Pop song in this.
Yeah, right. But yeah, my last thoughts, I guess, were, again, I would still rank it like 4th, but that's because the other ones are so fun for so many different reasons. But if I had to rank them in terms of sincerity, it would probably go musical, this, original, and the other ones are like, what are we even doing? And so let's see here. So we're gonna roll out here. So how about we do our sign-offs? How about you, Tony? Let's hear where we can find you, and anything else that you're doing.
You can find me on screen. Look at that. That's my page right there, and it's at poor old Rolo Tony. It's a great profile if you want to hear crazy movie opinions, cushioned with jokes and nihilistic / optimistic views of the world. You can also catch me on other podcasts, I'm appearing often on Doug's podcast. These boys got juice, I would say consider that like a Vegas residency,
You're one of the juicy boys. You're an honorary juicy boy.
Yeah. He's one of the titular guys who has juice.
Let's squeeze him.
And you can also you can find me on In Films We Trust. I'm doing a Larry Fessenden
hell yeah
retrospective with them, and then I'm also going to be showing up on some other podcasts coming up soon. Check out Unhinged, and you guys take it away.
All right, how about you, Doug? How about we can find you?
I'm at the Doug Files on Twitter. That's also my YouTube handle, and then as Tony mentioned, I have a podcast, These Guys Got Juice, where we just talk about movies, and we got a special Labor Day weekend episode that'll be posted tomorrow, where we're talking about some relevant issues to what's going on in the industry, especially pertaining to AI and stuff. That I felt like that conversation needed to be had. So look forward to that. We also do fun stuff too. We also
it's hard hitting.
The industry's going to shit.
You like the male Lois Lane,
Yeah, real journalism.
Yeah, but I'm glad to have you both here, and you know what? I'm serious about doing VHS.
Same.
I'm
not
serious
sure.
too.
I'm not sure what's coming out soon. I think the only thing on my radar that's coming out soon is, let's see here, Long Walk in 2 weeks. So how about?
I'm gonna take the walk. I wish I could go to one of those treadmill screenings where I have to keep it 3 miles per hour, or
apparently there was pre-selected, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be influencer stunts.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Come on, we have followers. Let us do it.
yeah. People try to sign up like actually they've already been selected or something. Like so, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like, oh no, it's Soups, and he'd be screaming the entire time. We're like, oh no, I can't do it. Annoying shit like that. But it's interesting. It's a fun thing. If I had Tremolo, I'd do it. And it came out Blu-ray or digital, I would totally do it. But so if you guys are serious about doing VHS, I'm happy doing next week after a long walk finishes, whenever, man.
I
No,
am
I'm very serious.
100%
I
down.
mean, now is the time, especially. I mean, we're pretty much. I mean, people debate when the spooky season is, but I mean, after Labor Day, you're in like fall territory. I feel
right.
like
So next weekend, would you guys want to do VHS?
the first one, yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
down.
Let's do the first one, okay? And then we'll do. How about this one? We do one, and then do the tie-in movie attached to it. We'll do that the next week or next available week. All right. So we'll do first one, and then we'll do Siren. Right.
I
Okay.
can make this work with my schedule. I don't want to speak for Doug.
All right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, no,
whenever,
yeah, I could-
whenever we're all free, whenever we're free, this will be like the running thing we'll do. How about that?
I mean, how many? Yeah, how many are there?
There's like
Like
6.
6 or 7, not even
Okay,
including
and
the
then- and
spin-offs.
then-
No, I clicked it up.
Yeah, adding the spin-offs on top of that. Yeah, I mean, I was planning on watching them anyway, so I'm
Well,
down.
there's apparently one from VHS2 called Kids versus Aliens, which is a
A
science.
great movie.
Is it?
It's a great movie. It's Jason Eisner, hobo with a shotgun.
Oh,
Oof.
okay, cool.
Okay, I'm excited now. That could be a Deadstream style classic. Okay.
And guess what? It's under 90 minutes. It's like it's like an hour and 10 minutes long.
Music
It's
to
so
my
good.
ears.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna say I didn't like it, but Slumber Party Alien Abduction did have some interesting ideas before it ended, before it did anything. So I'm excited for it.
You put
Okay.
a GoPro on a dog.
And
How
then nothing
can I be
happened.
mad at that?
And then nothing happens. And then nothing happens. But anyway, so yeah, and VHS at the very least next week, and then we'll look into the spin-off films after that. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I know this is a franchise that's near and dear to my heart. And you know what? I'm just glad that the Toxic Avenger is still alive, and hopefully I gotta say, please, if you haven't watched them, watch the original. And I know Tony has, but Doug, definitely watch the original. And I would recommend the
Oh,
musical
for
to both
sure.
of you. You haven't seen the musical? The musical is
Mhm.
really funny. It's really sweet. It's got some fun songs, some fun lyrics, and it's got a good sense of self about it. It's nice. It's saccharine rom-com kind of vibes. I like it. Anyway, so thank you and have a great night. Okay, and we are out of here.
Good evening.